All right, council and guests, let's call our meeting to order. It is 6:30. We will start with the invocation and the pledge. Dear God, please give us the courage to face any challenges that come our way today. Help us to be strong and confident in your love and grace. May we trust in your goodness and faithfulness, and may we have peace in knowing that you are with us always. We pray especially for our military and first responders as they defend us at home and abroad. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Item 3 is public comments. Ms. Nancy, do we have any public comments?
Yes, Your Honor. Susan Ledard. Hello, everyone. Susan Ledard, I live on Calvary. I just wanted to go over a couple of things since we're coming up for elections that I feel like is kind of important to point out. The fact that virtually almost nothing has gotten done over the last 2 years. There's been a lot of disrespect, not only to the office of the mayor, but to every taxpayer in this entire county or city. And I find it a little offensive that that's happening over and over and over again. Folks aren't doing their homework, consulting the attorneys instead of consulting the city. I did pull a few things here. Just for a clarification, in 2021, our attorney fees were less than $3,000. In 2022, our attorney fees were just over $8,500. With the new council in 2023, our costs were over $31,000. 2024, those costs went over $53,000. Now, some of that was election, some of it was EDC, some of it was other things. But so I broke it down actually. In 2021, $0 were spent for attorneys to prepare for city council meetings or attend city council meetings. The same for 2022. They didn't have to come. 2023, that number jumped to $14,277 for our attorneys to be here at these meetings to make sure that everything's being handled the way it should, because people aren't doing their homework and asking the right questions in the right places. 2024, that number for our attorneys, and I like you guys, that number was $27,807, and that is purely for lack of preparation. Tabling things, that's one thing that I sitting here in these meetings find offensive, is that when things have been looked at, voted on, and approved, for them to come back up into a meeting, again, because people aren't paying attention, that is wasting my time, it's wasting the city's time, it's wasting everyone who's watching any of these meetings' time. It's offensive. I just pray to God that this new election will bring new blood into the city, because we need it.
Thank you, Susan.
And may I?
Do we have any further comment? Public comment? Thank you. Council cannot address the public comment.
Yes, we can.
That's right. No, we can't. It's not on the agenda item. So
Well, no,
we can bring it back.
I just want to say
So, Councilmember Haley, we cannot address the public comments.
here. What does this say?
Do you want to join in and give an
Our,
It's a correction statement of fact.
correction statement of fact?
yes,
Go ahead.
absolutely. This council has not been running up the legal bills, and I plan on, I will post them online so that everybody can see. You won't see our names on those.
Your name is on some of them.
No.
So is hers.
Now we've reached the point of deliberation.
And, okay. I'm planning on posting them so that the community can make up their own mind that your statement is, she's deliberating. Yes. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Not fair.
Had nobody else signed up for public comments? So we're going to move on to item 4. Consider and take action on the consent agenda. Council, I didn't receive any corrections or additions by email or requests at City Hall. So I would ask for a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda.
Mayor, point of order. I'd like to state that
You're recognized. Go ahead.
I guess B through I, unfortunately, to Susan's point here, needs to be pulled because it's not complete. We have a revenue expense and a revenue expense.
Okay, if you don't mind, we'll wait and hear what your objections are or your questions are after we move on to the next item, onto that item, okay?
Okay.
So we have a council member who would like to pull items B through I and discuss them separately. So do we have a motion to consider and take action on the consent agenda with item A only?
Sorry, before I ask, or before
One
you-
moment, I have a,
I just got a quick question. You provided 2 minutes. You provided the 25th and the 18th, or I'm sorry, 28th and the 18th, but yet on the agenda is only the 18th.
well, you can disregard if there's an
Okay.
extra copy of something
Okay.
in your
That's
packet.
good. That's good. Thank you.
This one is for the city council meeting minutes of February 18th regular meeting.
Okay.
Lori, what is the current motion?
The request for a motion is to approve the consent agenda, which now is only item A, which is the draft city council meeting minutes from February 18th. Is there a reason that anybody would like to bring up to not approve this consent agenda item? Or corrections or information about it?
Lori, I mean, I would like to make another motion, and that's to actually accept A through I.
So Phil, you want to give us some procedural help if you don't mind? We've had a
Yes.
council member say that B through I need to be considered separately, but I believe the rest of the council might
Yeah,
want to do
so-
something different. How do we
Right,
handle
no,
that?
so a council member has requested that one or more of the items be removed from the consent agenda for separate discussion, so they need to be taken separately. And so the only action, or the motion we could take is A at this point, is to approve the minutes. And then we'll talk B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and I as well.
Okay. So Kelly, although I appreciate your motion, I can't recognize that because we need to take all of these items separately again.
Okay. Then I'll make a motion to accept the,
Item A,
yes.
I'll second.
thank you. Any discussion about the meeting minutes of February 18th? All in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous. All right, revenue expense report for October 2024. So, Councilmember Cox, the meeting minutes that you mentioned for January 28th are included in your packet. They're highlighted beginning on page 2, where the payment report for October 2024, the payment report for November 2024, the council report from September 2024, council report from October 2024, and council report from November 2024 were all passed. So they're not included in today. This is included as a reference item. So next on our agenda for today is item B, the revenue and expense report from October. It was the one item that was not included when the October package was approved. So 2 out of 3 reports were approved at that time. So our motion on item B would be to accept the October 2024 revenue and expense report that has been supplied, I believe, 3 months in a row. We haven't received any requests for corrections or changes, so there have been none made. Do we have a motion on B?
I make a motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Burns. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Nay.
Nay.
3 ayes, 2 noes. The item passes. Item C, revenue and expense report from November 2024. Again, we have received no requests for changes or amendments, corrections, or updates. So do we have a motion to pass item C, revenue and expense report from November 2024?
I'll make a motion to accept.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Absolutely. On your said minutes here from January 28th, there's a council report that is, I guess, passed by Kelly and Burns and Boudreaux, or Justin, I'm sorry. And there's only a council report. You've provided the revenue and expense report, but no payment reports.
The payment report for November is at the top of page 3, item F. Motion passed.
That's
2
October,
abstains
that's
from
October
Cox and
2024.
Haley. Excuse me. 2 abstains from Cox and Haley. 3 ayes from Carlson, Boudreaux, and Turner.
That's
Top of page
October
3.
of 2024. We're on to November of 2024 at this point.
Right, item C is November 2024. That's correct.
No, item E at the bottom of page 2 is payment report October 2024. When you turn to page 3, it goes straight from E to F, which is a payment report on the November 2024, but there's no council report. We only have a
If you
revenue
look
and expense
at,
report.
I'm not following, so if you let me say it one more time. The top of page 3.
Yep.
Through about 4 lines down where it says F, payment report, November 2024. It's highlighted. Is that not what you're talking about?
We have a payment report of October 2024.
I'm not talking about that.
I understand that. Let me finish my statement. At the top of page 3, we have a payment report for 2024. And then on to tonight's agenda, we have a revenue and expense report. We do not show a council report at all.
Okay, if you look at the January 28 minutes, the same page.
I'm
At the top, you have F for November 24. If you drop down to the bottom, item I is council report for November 2024. So both reports from November are on page 3. And that was approved, the council report was approved by 3 votes, Carlson, Boudreaux, and Turner. And again, Cox and Haley abstained. So the item on tonight's agenda is the November revenue and expense report, which is the 3rd report we provide each month. We have a motion from Justin, a second from Kelly. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay.
So that we can approve the reports, is there something, we haven't reported anything wrong with the report. Is there anything correct? One moment, please, council member. Is there anything that needs to be corrected or updated for future reports?
It's incomplete.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to item D, the council report for December 2024. And in today's agenda, we have the council report, the payment report, which is income, and the revenue expense report. We have them individually on the agenda. The first one is item D, the council report. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Any second?
I'll second.
Any discussion about this particular report?
Is this are we talking about December's?
Yes, ma'am.
I was going to ask Julie, the payouts to Eddie Peacock, $1,677.50, another one $2,000, another one $3,058.75. Why so much money?
I can tell you that.
I
So-
want Judy.
That's okay, I have a summary from Peacock for you on that. They're providing administrative support, which we've talked about before when we hired them to do that. They've been doing account reconciliations in December for the 2023-2024 year, and you'll see ongoing bills from them because they're doing ongoing support for monthly reconciliations. They're doing fiscal year 24 journal entries For example, that would be interest earned, various accounts like the EDCs. They're working with Breedlove for the end of the calendar year, and then the end of the fiscal year. Breedlove is our auditor to make sure that items are in there. They're working on fiscal year 22 and 23 general ledger reconciliations. Again, that benefits us to keep our records perfectly straight and be prepared for the next audit year. Adding accounts and reconciliations to FundView, and that would refer to bank accounts where, like our Cedars accounts and things that are over at the New First Bank that were not ever added into FundView to be able to have all bank accounts in one place. So they were working on that at that time. They do our payroll reconciliation every month. Support for our auditor, and ongoing, you'll see in several months in a row, training for Julie to make sure that we're entering transactions in the proper place, getting the proper designation for what account they belong to, and improving our functionality.
I only have one question on this particular one. There's a duplicate, or what seems like a duplicate, maybe I'm wrong, but you have a charge to EDCA for the same monies. I don't want to throw anybody out there who does. You have a charge to EDCA for $800 for some social media stuff going on, and then you have a same exact charge to EDCB as well.
Can you tell us what page you're looking at for
I'm
that?
on page 6. I'm sorry, I'm blind, and page 7.
This would be the council report from 12/1 to 12/31.
Yes, ma'am.
And
You have the same charge to our media folks coming out of EDCA and the,
hold on, since we're saving paper and printing on both sides, I got to turn it around. So on the one on page 6, correct me if I'm wrong, Julie, but the one on page 6, if you look at the description line, it tells you what month.
they're exactly
So
the same.
one is October, says one is the catch-up, 200
It's exactly
due from that EDC 4A, plus a catch-up from October and November, correcting our accounts. And then the $200 for social media January. And then on page 7,
the same thing.
the catch-up in EDCB from October, November, plus the month of December.
To my knowledge.
Is there a correction on that, Julie, or is that correct?
No, it was a catch-up and plus EDCA and we pay a portion of the social media. So I have to go back and look at the dates, but remember, like, sometimes you have two papers in 1 month, I'll go back and look at those dates, because at the end of the month, we pay by the beginning of the month every time. So there's not a duplication. The first charge is going to be your catch-up.
Understood. The catch-up, though, is on the previous one as well, or not the catch-up, excuse me, the payment?
Well, there
is on
was
the
a-
previous one. So I was just curious as to the
Right.
duplication of the exact same dates for the exact same amount. I was under the impression that our contractual agreement is $800 a month.
So you see 1231, it's listed as January EDC.
And there's another one,
So-
under general fund.
I'm sorry.
There's another payment under general fund.
If
So
you
you
look,
have general fund plus EDC A and B, they pay a portion. So I divided between the three different funds.
it's split in three contributors to the monthly payment. The city has a
But they
portion,
all say
EDCA and
$800.
EDCB. They actually don't, if they say 200 and 200. The catch-up is that the fiscal year began and it wasn't posted starting in October, so she's giving you October, November, and December. So when you see 12/3, that's the payment at the first of the month. 12/31 was, the holidays were happening, so she paid it a couple of days early, so as not to pay Abby late after the first of the year for the EDC portions.
So you're gonna see that monthly, where it's gonna be in three different places.
exact charge, 3 different places?
No, I came to them in the summer and told them that I was doing the filming now, and I had never charged for it, but now I'm like, if you're gonna keep this, then we want, the higher package, even before we get first started, it was the lower package. So I'm not
Was that approved by council? Just curious. Okay. Just curious.
It's just a contract,
But so what you won't see is this catch up. That is the beginning of the fiscal year and making sure we were cleaning that up. The bills were paid on time but not posted in FundView while we were making sure about the procedure using the CPA's advice. Is that right? Any further questions on December council report? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
All right, item E, payment report for the month of December. This is income that comes into the city. Do we have a motion?
I'll second.
Thank you. Thank you, Burns. Do we have any discussion on the payment report? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Same thing, Lori. It's
Yeah.
the same.
All right, item F, revenue and expense report for the month of December. Do we have a motion on revenue and expense?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Any comments or discussion, that it should say, on revenue and expense for December? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed?
Nay.
All right, moving on to January. For January, we have the 3 monthly reports as well. Council report, payment report, which is income, and expense report. The first one is January 2025 council report. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion on the council report? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Thank you. Item H is the payment report. Again, which is income for January 2025.
If I may question on this one is only 1 page? Maybe I
Yes.
just didn't receive the full copy.
Yeah, no, that's it.
Usually not 1 page.
Yep.
Should it be read
It's
after?
quiet, mostly receiving sales tax and ad valorem tax.
There's
Which one is this
So receive-
we're looking at?
The payment or income report for January.
Yeah. Oh, mine. No,
It's okay, we have time, go ahead and look.
no,
Does
it's,
it say 1 to 131?
yes,
Yeah, that's
it's
the one.
after the Platinum Copier Solutions contract.
Yeah.
Is that where it's supposed to be?
Yes.
Oh.
Any discussions on the payment report? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Did we ask for discussion on it? I
We
missed
did it prior to the motion.
Oh, I thought we did the motion first.
Do you have
and then-
something specific
I
on
just,
the
I just
payment
wondered
report?
about these, like the receipts from Hudson Electric. And,
That's not
I mean-
attached to the payment report. What,
payment report has no information attached to it.
so that is the previous item that just got approved, I think.
oh, okay.
The council report
I
has
thought
the
mine were
invoice copies with it.
out of order here.
I don't think it's out of order.
I don't think
But-
I've ever seen an invoice. I didn't
Well,
recognize it.
you've mentioned that you would like some, so I thought it was an appropriate item to add. And since you guys received this last Thursday,
Yeah,
I'm sorry
well,
that it seems like it's not.
No, I thought it was,
in order.
I've seen it. I looked through my council packet, but it didn't
Okay, so
seem like
back
it
to the
was in the
payment
right
report,
order.
though.
And the invoices I wanted were on the building, so this,
Oh, that's coming up.
I know.
All right, so we're still on the payment report. Item H, we have a first and a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion about this item? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, no to income. All right. Item I, revenue and expense report for January 2025. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
Yes, ma'am, again, on questioning secondary charges, again, you've got all the same charges, all the same additional charges, all the same reoccurring charges, those that were never approved by council.
Okay, can you tell me what page number your question is about, please?
You show in the other report that we're about to talk about a $900 charge, but it shows 3 different addresses for energy.
Would you mind, Courtney, to
Yeah,
please tell me
that
what
one is on page 7.
of the revenue and expense, right?
On revenue and expense, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I'd like to talk about the 900, oh, wait, it's on.
All right. Page 7.
It's not on page 7. It is the $953 charge that shows 3 different addresses for electricity that
Okay.
we're paying for, and then again, just the $800 charges in all 3, or both, excuse me, 80.
Okay, can we take them one at a time, please? So you're asking about electricity. On page 9, we have, under utilities, number 40-5302 is the City Hall electricity. 40-5303 is the streetlights for City Hall, for a total in utilities of $900.53. Is that what you're referring to for the $900?
You said it's on page 9. I don't see it on
No,
page
you told me
9.
page 7. I'm sorry. I thought,
Yes, it's okay, it's okay. Just to make sure we're all on the same page. I also don't verify my own information there because I see the $953 current revenue under utilities for general expense of $953. And I have questions about that.
okay, so the
Is
City
that-
Hall has its own meter, and that's why it's $448.37 for the month of January.
Okay.
The street lights is a separate meter for $452.16. Those are not at City Hall, so they have their own meter. And those 2 bills total $900.53.
Actually, there's 3 bills listed here. One is 19.
There is a third bill because there are some lights in Valley Lodge, but these 2 are on page 7, which is, I think, what you were using for your reference point.
The invoice that we have on this one is $953. It includes 3 bills and shows 3 different addresses.
Okay, can you tell me what document you're looking at? Because right now we're on page 7 of the
It's the one
revenue
that
and
we were going
expense.
to talk about next, which is the council report. Thank you for providing an invoice.
So the council report's already been approved under item G. Are we going back to that for reference of this? Is that what you're referring to?
The total on the revenue and expense report shows $953. There are 3 addresses listed on this particular invoice I'm holding in my hand. Yes, ma'am.
I'm asking, where are you getting the invoice? Which report are you in?
I am the council report.
The council report.
That you provided. It is
Invoices for you.
second to last page. It says group statement details. Village of Simonton.
Right.
Lists all address and it lists 2 separate addresses for that total amount.
Right, so your question is where is the third meter, or what exactly is your question?
We've never been shown this report before, or this invoice before, and why do we have 3 different energy bills? Are we paying for streetlights in Valley Lodge?
Yes.
Really? Where?
There are 2. I think it's 2 streetlights,
Where are
a
those?
total. There's one on Wagon
One at the park.
and one at the park.
It says all of these are
1093, so I was just curious as to the thing.
That's because of our billing address?
That as well as, again, the charges for our media sector are listed in 3 different locations at $8.
Right. So our media is split, is paid for by the City of Simonton, EDCA, and EDCB. Each entity pays a portion of the monthly social media charges. And that's why you find it in 3 places, because we're showing in full transparency, EDC approved that they would pay a portion, A will pay a portion, B will pay a portion, the city pays a portion. So you can see how much each entity is paying, and that's why it's in 3 different locations.
Can you tell me which meeting that they approved that at?
Since I didn't get that question in advance, I don't have that documentation for you here.
Thank you.
Any further discussion?
No.
Okay, on item I, revenue and expense report for January 25, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
All right, thank you, council. I know that was a tough one to get through that many financials in one sitting, but I'm glad that we've moved past that. Moving on to item 5 on our agenda. One moment. Sorry, everybody, but this is a fun one, so I'm going to give it an extra second. Item 5A is receiver report regarding the Texas General Land Office Regional Mitigation Program grant. If you've been following or watching or hearing for the last 3 years, you would have heard us talk about applying for what we're called a MITMOD, which is mitigation and modification in order to make repairs and do preventive projects for flooding. So on March 4th, we received a letter of our notice of eligibility for the Regional Mitigation Program application 2022-100212-RMP. What that means is the city has spent 3 years going through the process of applying, jumping through hoops, making sure we did all of the proper qualifications, and we have now reached the stage that our eligibility has been confirmed, and we're identified as eligible for the CDBG MIT funding. And upon satisfactory completion of 2 items identified, which we have already done since last week, the application moves forward to the contracting phase. What that means is, I'm going to bust out that big check that we used several years ago and show everybody. We have been awarded more than $1.5 million for our road improvement and drainage projects that have been part of this application. So excited about that. Extra thanks go to Jill Finney at the Langford company, who is our contractor, Jennifer Ward, our former city administrator, for helping identify that ability, the opportunity for that money and do the application with Langford. Special thanks to our engineer, LJA, and Craig Calcamy. We wouldn't have gotten across the finish line and jumped through all the hoops that are required for a grant without everybody's help. So thanks everybody who worked on that. More to come as we get closer and closer to that project getting started, but we'll see some really big things happening in Valley Lodge that will help everybody in the area. Okay, moving on. Item 5B. Receiver report, consider and take action regarding the City Hall expansion, also called the ARPA project, because that's another project that's funded primarily with grant money. For the last several months, this project has been on hold because we identified a potential unmet requirement to make our bathroom or a bathroom handicap accessible for the ADA compliance. So we've worked on this. We've taken this to every entity you can think of, including the state of Texas. The recommendation that's come out of all of that work is that council hold on doing any changes or modifications to this bathroom that's in the front, because I shouldn't say with any. We're going to reverse the swing on one bathroom that currently exists so that it's more handicap accessible by wheelchair. And our recommendation is to hold on doing any of the other major work that's identified in the recommendation from the architect, because our local or third-party inspector that the city uses for all inspections, Bureau Veritas, has already agreed that the bathroom is compliant as long as we modify that door. And because we can get a local approval and inspection at the end of our project for a certificate of occupancy from Bureau Veritas, we do not need to pursue an additional inspection and approval from the state at this time. That doesn't mean that we can put that off forever if we make additional changes, but it doesn't have to hold up this project any longer than it already has. That's up for council's consideration. Your other option is to go ahead and make the changes now, which would be tearing out one bathroom, pushing the wall out. We're short 3 inches of space in that bathroom according to the state requirement, but an exception is allowable for local. So I'll leave that to council to decide which route you want to go to. The document that was presented at last council, and honestly I don't remember if I gave you another copy of it today, but if you want to go back and look for it, it's the February meeting, item 5C, where we listed the proposed cost of about just under $25,000 to take out the floor, move out the wall, and move the sink around the corner from one wall to the other. Council, is there any discussion?
I have a question in regards to the initial bid project. The initial bid project, I don't have it with me, unfortunately my binder is busting at the seams. I believe Faith has it with her, but I've got questions in regards to the bathroom currently in our city hall is the only thing that has doors on it, much less ceilings or lights or dais fronting, or is even capable of being utilized. So moving the door from one way to another seems to be a little different, but my question is not that. My question is, the original bid shows the ADA bathroom to be compliant. We paid an additional fee of $3,600 for a building permit expansion for ADA compliancy.
That's correct.
And then down here, there's another, this is from 1217, just so everybody else out there knows what I'm looking at, right? One bathroom revision for ADA compliance with an unknown next to that detail. And then this paid invoice update that we received yesterday shows a balance left in our total contract being $96,338.37. My question is, why did the construction stop in October? We have not had any movement, and we have not been able to utilize our facility since October. Well, no, I'm sorry, since August of last year.
So I've addressed that every single month since August. The construction stopped when we found out that there is a possibility, a strong possibility, that the architect missed the amount of work needed to make that our capacity was increasing over whatever the threshold is, and that bathroom would need further revision in order to meet state ADA requirement. So we put that on hold instead of just, well, first of all, we put that on hold because council needs to approve any additional expenses that are over the original budget. So I brought that to council as I don't have the dollar amounts. We have discovered there is a concern. We put it on hold, and I've reported every single month the work that's been going on to try and figure out the best way to address, what's required to address, how much is it going to cost, all of the elements. So this isn't a surprise. You're right, we haven't been able to use it, but this is not a surprise. We've talked about it at every council meeting.
Well, it is a surprise because the only unusable or usable portion of the city hall besides your offices is actually bathrooms. The
That's
other
correct.
side has no lights, it has no ceiling, it has no front of the dais, no nothing.
That is correct.
At all.
That's
So
why we're
there's
meeting
no
here.
doors on that side, that has nothing to do with the ADA compliance. And in the original approved bid, it shows availability and access for an ADA compliancy.
You're correct.
So why was that missed? Why are we talking about it 8 months later?
We're talking about it in August when
We were talking about.
Bureau Veritas, when construction was underway and our contractor contacted Bureau Veritas for a plumbing and electrical inspection, Bureau Veritas said, this doesn't match what you're talking about. So that's when we discovered that there is an error. And we've done everything we can to follow the rules and find out what is missing, what needs to happen, what are the requirements ever since that time. And that once we identified that, what options are there, and is there not some way to do this without spending another $25,000 or $30,000 when we thought this was already included in the project?
Faith, can I borrow your original bid plans there?
Yeah, the thing was that I was asking Justin about them, and he was talking about them being just standard. Like when we saw on the plans about all the bathroom requirements, the ADA,
Right.
that it's standard on, it would be standard, which I don't really understand.
I don't know about y'all, but that's a wheelchair to me. That's a wheelchair, that's a wheelchair, and that's a wheelchair. This is A, this is the one that was approved. You can go to B, which is our other
This is
option.
also a boilerplate. It's set up for widths of toilets, how much room you have to have in a water closet, how high sink heights have to be for wheelchairs, standard sink heights. This is standard for any of these requirements that go in a drawing packet for any kind of construction.
Certainly,
When you
which
say
is the one that
standard,
we
I think,
approved.
if you don't mind, let's hold on that for just 1 second. That is a boilerplate page that is inserted in any construction project. So I think when you're saying standard, it's not the same as
So then
every
you-
item on there.
No, this
That's a
goes in
reference
when they-
material
when they
page.
print that out.
Go back to the blueprint page where the handicap is indicated on the actual
This was the one
blueprint.
that was approved. A was approved.
I'm not
But that's-
I'm not
that's
discounting
That's
that.
not the drawing of the bathroom.
Understood, but in your description, we paid $3,600 for an ADA compliant permit.
Right, you
And
have to
you
pay the
have
state
an
of Texas
additional
to
listing
review
for
your plans.
possibility.
Once they're complete and your architect has completed them, you have to pay them to review your plans. And when they came back and said, this is the deal, fine, we did not know that what came back from them and that was managed by the architect was not passed on to Bureau Veritas. And once we figured out that it was not passed on to Bureau Veritas and included in their system for inspection, that's when we discovered that there was a miss or an omission in the process.
So you're saying if we just change the door swing, that this conversation is not even important? We won't have to pay out all these big additional funds?
Yes.
They'll change the door, then the construction can continue?
Yes.
Well, I make a motion that we switch the
Thank you.
door.
We're at a motion. All right, we have a motion and a second.
Let's
Let me
make
write it
this
down, 1
easy.
second. Motion by Faith, a second with Burns. Any further discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
And it's unanimous. Thank you. All right, thank you very much. Item C. Consider and take action regarding ordinance number 2025-01. An ordinance of the City of Simonton ordering an election for the purpose of electing 3 at-large council members. This is included because an ordinance is required for an election. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
And that's unanimous. Thank you. Item D, receive a report regarding water well pump and motor replacement. I couldn't even tell you what the actual age of the well with the equipment at City Hall is. but it went out a week ago. We were able to get 2 bids pretty quickly, and I've included those for your reference. The bid from the geophysical was $4,266.94. The bid from Chafin Water Well, who have worked on the city well before, was $3,425. We went ahead and had the well repaired using the lower bid. We had a new pump, a new motor, and the things that go with that, a 4-inch well seals, pressure switch, new pop-off valve, fittings, etc. You will see when we get to the month of March, I think March bills, you'll see that we do have a fee from Geophysical. When they came out to do the inspection and tell us, give us a bid, they went ahead and pulled the pump. And so when we didn't move ahead with them, it was still less expensive to hire Chafin to complete that project. So that is for information. Item E, receive a report regarding CenterPoint Energy Houston Electric LLC for approval to amend its distribution cost recovery factor. Sorry, everybody. You'll see in your packet that we've included that application along with the legal advice from Thomas Bricado at Lloyd Gosselink. This is once again part of the Gulf Coast Coalition of Cities. CenterPoint is seeking an increase in distribution revenues of $122.7 million due to an expedited schedule and the PUC's policy of not conducting substantive review. They don't intend to participate, and we don't either. So there's a base rate case that's pending. They filed an interim case that was back on February 28th. So our coalition is recommending that cities take no action on this application. This becomes for information only. Item F, receive a report regarding CenterPoint Energy 2025 annual GRIP, G-R-I-P, adjustment for the Houston, Texas Coast, South Texas, and Beaumont, East Texas geographic rate areas. And I don't know that you have the recommendation for Gosselink. They have not come back to us with the final information, but what they're saying essentially is the company is seeking recovery of $654,119,475 in invested capital. The current filing will increase rates for residential customers by $2.88 a month. That would increase the current residential charge from $19.50 to $22.38 per month in the Houston and Texas geographic area, $25 to $27.88 a month in South Texas and Beaumont, East Texas. The case is scheduled to go into effect April 19th of 2025. Our option at this point is to suspend the effective date of the rate increase by 45 days. Under the GRIP statute, cities may not challenge the company's request. Our only option is to delay the increase by 45 days. I've asked the principal at Lloyd Gosselink to tell us what would be the benefit of doing that, other than 45 days of a lower, obviously, $2 and some change price, but we have until the 19th of April to make that decision. So when they get back to us, I'll bring this back to council unless you already have a decision about it for this month. It would be a resolution if we decided to pursue delaying the rate increase. If we don't want to, if we don't see the point in delaying, then I won't prepare the resolution. Any thoughts? You don't have to. I'll get their advice.
Disadvantage to delay it?
Not that I'm aware of, and I didn't get any further comment from them.
$2.88.
Yeah, well, no, I said disadvantage.
Okay, I'll pursue it with them then and bring it next month, and the council can decide whether or not to do the delay. Our meeting will be on the 15th, so we'll be prior to the deadline. All right, item G, received the report regarding the Public Utility Commission of Texas 2025 Consumer Price Index Adjustment to Municipal Telecommunications Right-of-Way Access Line Rates. You can see that the letter from the Public Utility Commission is included. The default rate increase were made in April 2024. Sorry, the previous rate increase was made in April 2024. The city chose the maximum allowable CPI adjusted rates. Therefore, our 25 rate would increase by 1.4785% from 2024. You have the option to decline. Pardon me, everybody.
Is this not part of the other coalition as far as the center point stuff is concerned, Lori?
It is not. It is not. So on the second page on the back, you can see what your preferred rates are, your default rates. And since this is related to right-of-way access lines and not to residential, this councils previously have taken the maximum rate. This council could decide to do the same or something different. Your options, like I said, are at the top of page 2. If we take no action, then the default rate happens. If you want to decline the default rate, then we need to take action tonight.
There's no default rate listed here.
So on the top of page, the second page, where it says section 2, your default rates for 2025 are as follows. These are higher than the 2024 rates above due to the Consumer Price Index inflation adjustment. Residential would go from $2.26 to $2.30. Non-residential from $5.10 to $5.18. And no change to point because it is 0.
As far as the Public Utility Commission, if it doesn't have anything to do with CenterPoint, we don't have any other public utilities. So what does this have? What does this
It's in the
determine?
right-of-way.
I'm sorry?
It's in the right-of-way, like transmission lines, could be natural gas, if you had that, could be other things in the right-of-way. Utilities in the right-of-way.
Are we talking about 4 cents for
4 cents or 8 cents?
for residential? 4
4
cents.
cents.
Yeah.
So if we have consensus to accept the default rates, then we'll just accept it and not.
I'm good with the default rates.
Okay. Okay, so we have consensus on that. We will allow it to go through. Okay. Item H, consider and take action to approve adding Nancy Moore to the city credit card account. This is at Wallace Bank. Adding Nancy gives us the ability for her to register us for mayor and council dinners and pay our dues, or buy supplies needed at the office, or register folks for training classes. That sort of activity is what would be expected on Nancy's card. Currently, I'm the only one with a city card, and they're waiting on me to be available at the office or to go places to make things happen. So I'm proposing to council that we add Nancy at Wallace Bank for a city credit card.
I make a motion that we give her a credit card.
Okay,
I'll second that.
thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, that's unanimous. All right, I'm going to go a little bit out of order for this next part for the benefit of everybody attending and give you reports now. We are going to have an executive session tonight, but we'll do reports first. Another piece of great news, I have a request for meeting with TxDOT. They are proposing replacement of the bridge in Valley Lodge on Fort Bend Drive, where all of our floodgates are located right now. The reason that they are offering to do that is that those metal culverts that are underneath the bridge are deteriorating very significantly. We have a capital improvement plan for Simonton that includes lining those, that's called relining, I believe, because of the expense of tearing it all down and building it back up. So it is wonderful news that TxDOT has come to us and said there are 3 locations in Simonton and Fulshire, and they're ready to meet and start making a construction plan about that. So that'll be great news. I'm expecting it will come to pass, more to be shared in the future, and that would mean we can take it off of our capital improvement plan and put that money somewhere else. So yay for TxDOT. Texas Pride has sent out their annual price adjustment notification. They will be notifying their customers on their own, but council, you do have this in your last section with, I think we might have given it to you tonight. It says reports at the top. Just so you know, the residential service is going to $22.63, and commercial would go to $25.25. There's a rate chart there, and like I said, customers will be notified directly since they do the billing for their own service. For council and everybody out there, for this weekend, the 11th annual Just Ride for a Just Cause. This started out as Bike for Mike several years ago. It's an 11th annual bike ride. We'll start in Simonton at the Simonton Community Church, ride most of the day, and then end back at the church. So from 7:30 a.m. is when they start, so you'll see more road traffic. At 8:30 is the rolling start for the ride. It's expected to be over by 3:30 p.m. So please be real careful out there. They will be on FM 1489 and FM 1093 in our area. The route map is posted at the Simonton Post Office now. It also will be on our website, and council, you have it in your packet.
What's that date, Lori?
This Saturday. Sorry, I didn't say that. This Saturday, the 20th. Sorry, the 22nd, this Saturday. We did have a request for updates about the EDCs, and the update is there's no updates at this time. The EDCs are slow rolling a little bit on the start, not at their own fault, but we'll be working on that with them through the summer. Buyout lots, the broadband project that we were named in, along with a couple of other cities in the county, is moving forward. I don't have an update specific to Simonton, but I do know that in Needville, Comcast has been awarded the contract, and there's work already going on there. So Shanika Smith in KP George's office, his chief of staff, is working on getting us an update about when that might be headed our way and what it looks like. They also are going to help us resurrect or keep fighting about the U.S. postal system and our mapping situation that's happening here in Simonton. 2 more things. Special thanks to Twinwood USA for sponsorship of Keep Simonton Beautiful. We received a check from them today and can't thank them enough for being a sponsor. Last but not least, early voting starts April 22nd. That's the first day. The polling locations will be posted by Fort Bend County, but locally to us right here at the fire station and, at the Fulshire Branch Library will be open. So early voting is April 22nd through the 26th, none on Sunday the 27th. open again on the 28th and 29th of April. And then, of course, voting day will be on May 3rd.
Did you say early voting is here and at the library?
Yes.
Okay.
You can go to any open Fort Bend County location, but if you want something close to home, you can come right over here where we are now. And that's it for Mayor's report. We will go back to our agenda then. Item 6 is adjourn into executive session. Thanks everybody for coming. You're welcome to wait while we have our session and we'll get right back with you.
We're not going to do the rest of the report.
It is 7:32.
Under section 531.071.
That's right. Consult with legal counsel. All right. Thanks everybody for staying. The City Council of the City of Simonton, Texas ended its closed executive session at 8:01 p.m. on this 18th day of March 2025. We will return to, item 8 is consider and take action resulting from executive session. There is no action to be taken at this time. Item 9, we'll return to reports. Keep Simonton Beautiful. Kelly, you had some report items?
I do. One, a reminder that we have trash off next Saturday at 9 a.m. We'll meet at City Hall in the parking lot. And then exciting news about the Roundup. We finally got approval to move it to Daly Park. This gives us a lot more space, a lot more parking, etc. But also the exciting things that we're working on for the Roundup. It will be Battle of the Badges of Fulshire Simonton Fire Department and Fulshire PD. We're also working on having a car show there. A lot more food trucks and new vendors. Angela and I have been scouting quite a bit over the last year, going to craft shows and stuff like that, that suit the purpose of Keep Simonton Beautiful. So handmade items, items that are reused and, so on and so forth. And so far, I believe we have 5 new vendors that fit that profile that are coming, on top of the vendors that we already have. So just a lot of exciting new things. Again, I'm most excited that we're moving to Daly Park because, this is going to be a wonderful thing. Not to mention Daly Park needs to be used. And you don't have to park in the grass, you can actually park on concrete. But anyway, that's all I have for KSB. Thank you.
Kelly, how do people sign up for that? If people want to be a vendor?
To be a vendor? Mm-hmm. We'll take as many as we can get, but keep in mind the pavilion that's there can only fit so many.
Yeah.
I
was just wondering if people knew, if they didn't know and they were watching this, you could tell them exactly who they would contact, how they would do that.
Contact Keep Simonton Beautiful. We're at keepsimontonbeautiful@gmail.com. Send an email.
Okay.
You can contact Nancy at City. She knows how to get a hold of every one of us. We're also on Facebook, Instagram. What else? Is that it? Okay. You'll start seeing advertising here soon. Honestly, you know who the members are of KSB. Just approach any one of us. Call us, send us a message on Facebook, whatever. But yes, we always have spots available. You may not be under the pavilion, but that's okay. That's what tents are for, right?
That's right. Sounds great. Thank you. And I don't think you mentioned about the cost of the tent versus the pavilion.
Yes, big to do. So every time we have Roundup at the old Reputator Market, it costs us $3,500 to bring a tent in for our vendors. So going to Daly Park, it's costing us nothing, which by the way, it's not costing us a dime to have it there.
That's wonderful.
Period. So therefore, we're not having to spend that $3,500, and we can actually use that money towards beautifying Simonton. So yeah, it's great. And thank you again to Twinwood for your generous donation today.
Thank you very much.
And just to clarify the date of the trash off, you said this Saturday, but it's a week from Saturday. So it's the 29th. 29th.
Oh, it's actually the 29th, yeah.
Okay. And what time?
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
City Hall
City
parking
Hall.
lot.
Okay.
And we'll disperse from there.
Okay.
Sounds great.
And then April 26th, 10 a.m. is the roundup.
Okay.
Sounds great. Thank you. Phil, any reports? Thank you. Nancy? Julie? All right. City Council? Any further reports?
I had some requests that
Okay.
for the next agenda items that we talk about the contract with RMS, and so that we put that on the agenda. And Granicus, I was kind of
Okay.
wait till we got closer to the yearly fee on that coming up, the payment.
All right.
So Granicus, and I'd like
Anything
to
else?
have under the reports, just add EDCs, just if they say there's no report, then there's no report, but that it's added to that list. And
Okay.
I'd like for us, to talk about roads. Since we're getting this grant, then we need to start making plans.
What would you specifically like next time that's related to roads?
Roads, for us to start
Like a
talking
refresh
about,
of this project, or?
just start talking about, what would be our first priority, and in which project would we like to get started on?
For the 2026 budget? Or you already have commitments for roads for the money that was set aside in the budget for roads, and then for this
Okay.
grant money?
Well,
So
let's-
do you want to do a refresher on what that is, or?
Yeah, we could do that, but the money that we already have set aside for roads, because we need to talk about roads, because unless we talk about them, it's not going to get done.
Okay, I'll check in with you further about it before the next meeting so we can make sure and
All right.
have the material. Anybody else? Council reports? All right. With that, our next scheduled council meeting will be on April the 15th here at the ESD Operations Center, and we will adjourn at 8:09. Thanks, everybody.